Hey, this is Raul for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great pleasure and honor of interviewing bassist Glenn Fukunaga. I got that right?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Close enough.
Okay. And Glenn is on tour with the Dixie Chicks, and he's up here in the Great Northwest, our neck of the woods, so we couldn't miss the opportunity to, while Glenn's in town, get a chance to sit here and talk to us. I'll talk a little bit about your background, and certainly I'm going to have you fill me in. Glenn is originally from Hilo, Hawaii, and like many of us, his first love in an instrument was a bass. He started with ukulele, right?
Ukulele, yes, at age 11, yeah.
There we go. And I started on accordion, strangely enough, back in the...
Sweet.
And then when the Beatles came along, it wasn't cool anymore, so I had to find something else. But and then you're multi-instrumentalist because you've played other instruments in addition to bass, saxophone and other things like that. But bass is really where it is his state. That's been the passion and
Yes.
that going on. Went to school for a couple of years.
University of Hawaii, yeah, in music, yes.
And then there was opportunity to tour with your band in the Southwest, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
And that ended up kind of getting you to Austin, where you've been kind of ever since.
Since the mid-70s, yes.
Wow. So that transition, I know for those of us that don't live in Hawaii and we go, oh, I wish I could live there. You've transitioned. I guess you're an adoptive Texan kind of now in a lot of ways.
Yep.
But it's probably because of the big music scene in Austin more than anything, right?
Yep. It's pretty big. It's not quite Nashville though.
Okay.
It's not so high level professional studios, but we're getting there.
Gotcha.
Not that many road musicians, but we're getting there. Yeah.
Well, and you had the opportunity, again, being centrically placed, to work with a lot of groups, including, you can add on names. I didn't memorize your bio. It's your life more than that. But, with the likes of Bob Dylan.
I got to record with him, yes,
yeah?
in New Orleans, yes.
And James
you know what's funny
Taylor?
about that? I showed up to that session without a bass.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so Daniel Lanois was like, what? And he had, 4 or 5 basses in the wall, so we picked one and kind of tuned it up, and
that worked, huh?
That worked.
There you go. Well, a flexible response. There is certainly something to be said for one's own bass, and I had a nice conversation with Chuck Rainey.
Oh yeah.
And he was just pointing out that your bass is like your wife. It's exactly. And he says even one that's the same signature model that the company's making, it's not yours because the feel of it, you've kind of gotten so used to it.
But there is something about picking up a cheap bass and still making it sound close to you.
Oh, absolutely.
You bring something to that instrument regardless. So yeah. My first guitar was a Supro, fiberglass body.
Yeah.
And we all played guitar back then. And I used to tune down the E string, play bass, and I remember sticking my hand up in the air going like, all right, I'll play bass for a year. And that was in 1964 or something. And here it is now, 50 some odd years later.
Wow. That's,
And I'm thankful that I stood up and I'll do it.
Well, and proportionally, there's a lot less of us bass players than there is other instruments. And so even when you look at it from the sales angle, they sell 10 guitars for every bass that they sell. But I'm fine with it that way. It helps keep the demand out there for, and if you get somebody who is got a good ear, they're responsible, there many times we'll see books that come across my table that are talking about the tips on being a successful bassist. And they'll include things like, show up on time, or have a reliable vehicle, or have gear that doesn't fart out all the time.
Be prepared for the music.
Exactly.
Exactly. Except when you go to the studio, that's my favorite place to be. And I've done, several hundred whatever recordings based out of Austin. And what I love about that is showing up with nothing planned. It's like blank mind.
Wow.
You don't have, I'm going to play this or that at all. And listen to the song, still don't know what I'm going to do. And then when it's time to sit down and start playing, and then just happens,
Yeah,
just,
really kind of an organic
Yeah, just
outpouring of music.
yeah.
So you do definitely a lot of studio work, and I know you played with James Taylor at Crossroads?
Yes.
Okay.
I was relegated to be the upright guy
Gotcha.
because of Jimmy Johnson,
Uh-huh.
so it was a little nerve-wracking for me.
Got you.
James' songs have a lot of chords.
Oh, yeah.
The band was going for 3 or 4 songs before I got up there. It's backstage
Oh,
going like,
wow.
oh my God. It's nerve-wracking, but
I hear you. I hear you. Well, and the thing is, there's a lot of subtle changes with a lot of his music.
Yeah.
That, the bass is really what gives it that feel.
Yeah.
That you're kind of going, okay, it has to be right, or else this is going to be totally off. So, touring, do you teach at all, or?
I haven't in probably 30 years.
Okay. So
I'm still a student, I'm just,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, it's an ongoing
It is
process.
ongoing, non-stop, right?
Totally.
Especially, both electric and upright, but the upright bass is the ultimate challenge.
I hear you.
Yeah. And, I have a love-hate thing with it. I mean, just to play one note on the upright is so beautiful. But when you look at the neck, it's like, got a long way to go.
Totally. Well, and the logistics of it, because the sheer size, I think that's probably the whole reason behind popularity of electric bass is that you're not lugging the doghouse with you.
Right. On top of the car.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so if you can get something like, and having lived in Puerto Rico, we were seeing a lot of the baby basses, the electric kind of setups there, and it was trying to get the best of both worlds where it's still upright, but it's not massive, and you don't have to have a trailer to lug it along with you. So, again, touring, I know you have an EP that we looked at, Not a Word.
Not a Word, yes.
And I've been listening to that. Very completely instrumental for most part, although there was an additional track that had
Christopher Cross
singing,
yes.
But not on the CD.
It's not released yet.
Not released. Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about your process because I did catch kind of in the steps, or was part of the journey. It has Hawaii in it, built in, and what were you?
It was pretty much a couple years of me recording little bits of music on my ukulele. Because it was starting out to be an ukulele record.
Wow.
And then after Jake came out, Shimabukuro from Hawaii, it's like, okay, I'm not going to do an ukulele record. I'm going to do a bass record.
Gotcha.
And it's really not a bass heavy record either, right?
No.
It's not like a
it's fitting. As a matter of fact, just so that I actually brought my copy, Glenn had sent it ahead. So if you check this out. It's really, I found it very nice.
Thank you.
And again, very varied.
Yes.
So from track to track, it was kind of like different chapters.
Yeah.
And different feels. So
you should have seen their faces in the studio. It was like, there's not going to be any guitar on this record, and they're like, what?
Wow.
It was awesome, yeah.
And you
which
had,
allows for the space.
Absolutely, and there was an accordionist.
I love guitar players.
Accordionist working.
Joel Guzman.
Yes.
He was just on tour with Paul Simon.
Okay.
Fabulous musician. I've been playing with Joel for I don't know, a dozen years in Austin.
Nice.
So much fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
so are you working on any new CDs on your own? Any plans in the future?
Maybe, yeah. I'm getting there, but it's not enough time right now. I'm also a bookbinder.
Oh.
I restore books, and I've been doing that since the late 70s.
Interesting. Well, up in the Great Northwest, this is one of the few places that they actually still like books a lot.
Yeah.
Powells Bookstore is like 6 stories of books.
Okay.
And they pick up used books and all that. Plug for the Great Northwest. But it's really kind of sad what's happened with so much of the book places.
Yeah, well, Yeah.
It's a dying thing.
You know,
so.
since the internet hit, I work on rare books, maps and stuff.
Yeah.
All the common rare books values have dropped, but the truly unique items values has gone way up.
Nice.
So I have a core group of customers. I don't work for the public that keep me busy at home, you know.
Nice.
So I haven't been on the road much at all. In fact, this past year and this year, pretty much the most I've ever toured, except when I did the record with the girls in '02, Bluegrass record called Home.
Yes. Yes.
And we did, you know, maybe 6 weeks promotional and one live DVD, but I've been pretty much home ever since. Last year I went out with Sean Colvin opening up for Don Henley for 2 months.
Very cool.
And now this.
Now you've brought up the tour, and this is the first tour the Dixie Chicks have done in 10 years in North America, right?
Yes.
So how's that going? What's that like? It's been
It's a lot of fun.
a stretch.
A lot of fun, yeah. The audiences have been nuts. People crying and singing out there. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that Home that CD is actually one that we'd been playing to bits for the longest time. We really there's even the nuances and the different versions of Landslide and all the stuff. You're like, okay, the upbeat one and there's this other one,
the Bluegrass one, the Sheryl Crow version,
absolutely,
where she plays bass on it. Yeah.
So it's left the public wanting, I think, for such a long time. So it's great to hear that all this energy is out there, and people were eager to see the shows and hear the music again. Yeah. Are they working on anything upcoming new, because they haven't had a new CD for a while?
There's been talk about that, but not at the present time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, everybody's having a good time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, and Bluegrass is where they started. It was kind of the foundation of the Dixie Chicks. Right. And interestingly enough, again, I get a fair amount of CDs from all over the world, but I always really enjoy the upbeat nature of the Bluegrass. And on the bass side, I'm sure a lot of it's a little more simple. It's
1-5.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
And walk up to the 4, would you?
Yeah. So it's not fraught with a lot of challenge, but it's it's the kind of stuff that gets your toe tapping, and you're kind of going, okay, yeah, I'm feeling happy because I'm hearing this kind of music and that kind of beat, and it kind of translates to, I think, maybe that more primitive part of our brains where we're registering an emotion that goes with the music.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
That is so deeply kind of hidden inside of there.
Yeah.
So,
I sat in with a bluegrass group, mandolin award winner from Australia, Kim Warner, I think is his name. And I remember sitting in with them for a gig because his wife, the bass player, broke her finger in the car door.
Oh.
And I remember I had to play in E like 1-5, 1-5, 1-5, 1-5, 1-5 for like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And it was like I started getting dizzy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Wasn't easy.
I hear you. And certainly with all of this, what advice would you give to young upcoming musicians and bassists that want to kind of follow in your footsteps? What in addition to be responsible?
Play in tune.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the journey for me. I've realized that you have to keep having fun. That has to be really up there. Otherwise, it turns into a job.
Sure.
And then once that starts happening, then the gigs start dropping off and your spirit's gone. It's.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think a lot of kids who take music, maybe the teachers don't emphasize that music is about having fun. When you're having fun, you grow and all of that. And a lot of kids get discouraged by certain teachers, and pretty soon they quit.
I hear you. Well, and there's and it comes back to that education part, because there is kind of multiple approaches. I think that when you look at like ukulele, a lot of it is music for people.
Yep.
It isn't a seriously formalized. If you don't take 2 years of classes, you can't play ukulele.
Right.
You know, like everybody kind of plays. You know.
Yeah.
I saw this when I went down to Venezuela. The Cuatro Venezolanos, kind of like a cousin to ukulele.
Yeah.
And street kids are playing. It's like the national instrument. Everybody around there is playing. So you didn't have to go to school necessarily to play. Now, if you wanted to progress and you wanted to do other things, of course, you know, getting some education, knowing how to read.
Yeah.
It's all part of the journey.
Definitely.
And you may have to do some of the work in order to get to kind of the next level. But the general music for the people, and a lot of it that is so fun, is at hand. It can be reached by, you know, a lot of people.
As long as you're inspired to learn, you know, you can get far. Yeah, definitely.
And I know there's always people that are going to want to know about your gear. Tell us what are you playing? What gear have you got?
Yeah, well, I'm a Fender endorser.
Okay.
So I play Fenders.
Okay. Nice.
I have a couple 5s and a couple 4s, and I have a fretless though that was made in Japan. I was on a tour with John Mooney, and we backed up Earl King from New Orleans, and a Japanese company saw me play and came and measured my bass, and 3 days later brought me their first fretless bass.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've been playing that ever since.
Very cool. Very cool.
Probably get a jazz fretless sometime soon, but
So you're not pulling the frets off of yours and filling them in with epoxy or anything just yet?
No. But I did drill holes in my first 1963 candy apple red jazz bass with matching headstock.
Ouch.
Yeah, I painted it blue, drilled holes in it.
Well, there's people that will groan just audibly.
I still shudder when I think about it.
It seemed like a good idea. When I started on guitar, I had an electric guitar, and I thought I was going to soup it up for a concert by putting this toy they used to have. Mattel used to sell it. It was called glow bug juice.
Yeah.
And it was fluorescent. Of course, things that are fluorescent are also radioactive, but that's part of the way toys used to be. And little did I realize that it was going to eat the finish off of my instrument after it was all done.
There you go.
So I'm kind of like, this seemed like a good idea at the time, but maybe not so much. So anyway, again, Fender endorsee, amplification, playing especially on tour with direct input.
Yes.
I imagine.
Yes. No amps here.
Gotcha.
I have a combo that comes out for rehearsals in the dressing room sometimes,
Okay.
But it's a beautiful super light amp.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have a GK 500 Fusion.
Okay.
I love the way that thing sounds. The only problem with that top is the knobs are too close together, so you have to be really careful that you don't hit
the wrong one. Yeah. Well, and again, you've been playing bass for many, many years. I think one of the challenges especially is weight. That's what I find with like cabs and amps and all of this stuff. Who wants to be, lugging something that's,
Yep.
100
I started out
pounds.
with, I had custom amps. I had two 215 cabinets. And I had one of those tall ones that had 315s in it. Then I had two 18-inch cabinets. Then I had a 410, I'm down to a 210.
I hear you.
In Austin, there's 4 or 5 venues that have bass amps
Already there.
so it's really easy, yeah.
That is great. I know that every time we go to a NAMM show, I'm often just kind of wanting to lift stuff up to get an idea. Is this going to be something that will work? Because I'm not getting any younger either, and I keep my music stuff on the second floor. So if I've got to take it downstairs every time I want to play, I'm like, this is not what I'm hoping for. But they are getting lightweight. So again, Glenn, this is so great to have a chance to chat with you. You've taken time out of your busy time on tour. We're looking forward to seeing the show tonight. Definitely everybody that has an opportunity catch this show as it's going through. You guys are going on for how much longer now?
Through mid-October.
Mid-October.
Yep.
So definitely this is a show to catch. Dixie Chicks. Yell at Glenn.
Yell loud. Shaka bra.
There we go.
There's quite a few people from Hawaii up in, where were we last night? Vancouver. Mm-hmm. It's fun. And if you ever need some spam musubis, this is a guy. Oh no.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Thanks, Raul.
Thank you.